I believe that books are one of the few mediums that, number one, are exceptionally powerful because books live a long time. I know that we look at TV and video and radio and stuff and we think, oh, this stuff is timeless. But believe it or not, a lot of this stuff is getting lost. Like they don't have it anymore. But with books, they have a little bit more staying power than that. And I just believe that any opportunity that I have to put something into print, I want to make sure that it's going to be transformative and powerful and positive. More than anything, it's going to be positive.
Oh my goodness, you guys, we have finally made it to the Burr months. It's September. The only problem is we just started getting super hot here in the San Diego area. You can see my fan right here blowing right on me. Thank goodness. Because our AC decided to also break. Yay! And even though they've come out, it's not getting fixed right now. It sucks. And you can see Poncho, one of my cats. He's lounging. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see him lounging in the background. He's trying to stay cool. This week, I have a great recipe for you guys. We're continuing with the fall theme and the pumpkin spice theme. And this is kind of a recipe I just thought of recently, and it's near and dear to my heart because it combines a snack that is very sentimental for me and also one of my favorite flavors, pumpkin spice Muddy Buddies, or you might know it as pumpkin spice puppy chow. I got this idea and my husband was like, we have to try this right now. We have to start testing this. So we did. And we tested a couple different versions because I wasn't sure which would have the better flavor profile with semi-sweet chocolate or white chocolate. And if you're not familiar, what Muddy Buddies or Puppy Chow is, it's Czech cereal and you coat it in a chocolate peanut butter mixture. And then you coat all of that with powdered sugar. They are so delicious. The reason it's a sentimental snack for me is my husband actually made it for me once when we were having like a date movie night, and it was super tasty and super sweet of him. And so it's kind of got ties for me. That's the first time I'd ever had it. It was just like a few years ago. So I went my whole life without this tasty snack. And now we have a pumpkin spice version on my blog. Tested to perfection for you guys. I think this is a great flavor profile. Go check it out. The link to the recipe, as always, is in the description of this podcast. It's still recording. Something happened and I lost connection. And I get back into the studio and it's telling me it's still recording. Gotta love technology, you guys. All right, this week's episode, I have a longtime friend of mine, Antoinette Chanel. She joined me this week, and I'm so happy she did. We're going a little bit away from desserts, even though her husband is a chef, and she herself loves cooking. I brought her on to talk about something else that I'm very passionate about. That's books. I've been really getting into a lot of great books lately. Her and I talk about some of our favorite books we've read recently. She is also a writer, a very talented writer. She has several awesome books on the market right now, and I'm going to link to those books in the episode description. She's such a wise woman. She's such a great friend, and I'm so glad she's here. Also, I would love it if you come back next week. It's just going to be me next week, but I have some awesome things to share with you guys next week, and some things that are coming up for me personally, some changes I'm going to be making to the blog. Don't worry, it's still going to be about desserts. And yeah, I just hope you guys come back every week. I hope you guys are enjoying. And if you are, like, comment, subscribe, rate, all the things. I appreciate all of you. Here is Antoinette Chanel. Hey there.
Hello.
You are joining us from Colorado, correct?
Yes, right outside Denver.
Ooh, are you loving it there?
I am. I enjoy living in a place where we get all the seasons. I mean, it's been an adjustment for me, like having to build up my wardrobe, but I really love getting to like see snow and see the way that the seasons make things look different.
Oh my gosh, I miss seasons.
Yeah.
And how long have you lived there now? I forget.
I've been here for about 2 years.
Antoinette and I go back 15 years now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Is it 15 or did we meet in 2010 or 2009?
2010, because James and I moved to the San Diego area in May of 2010. So I think
Okay.
I don't remember exactly when, but it wasn't too long after that.
Okay. I remember I was a newlywed. And so that's why I was
Mm.
wondering if it might have been 2009. That's the year that I got married. But I think you're right. I think it was the following year that I met you when I was looking for someone to do new headshots for me.
Yes. You were like one of my first clients here, if not the first client in California. And we had so much fun getting to know each other and do the little headshot in my first apartment.
Yes, that's right. I remember that.
I wanted you to come on this show, podcast, because I think you're amazing. You've
Oh,
done incredible things. Um, you are somebody I want on my hypothetical desert island. Um, and for everyone out there, Antoinette is a talented writer. She's a teacher. She's
former, but yes.
former
Yes.
teacher.
Yes.
Um, a business, life, writing, everything coach. I'm inspired by everything you do, so I consider you an everything coach. Um, and so you've got some projects coming up, and first, I'm going to let you do some talking and tell
Okay.
everybody a little bit about you and like your experience with writing and just life.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction, my friend. That is so sweet of you. Um, and I definitely wouldn't have agreed to come on this show if I didn't think you were amazing. So I'm really
Oh,
glad that we
thank
get to
you.
do this today. And yeah, so I live in Denver, or right outside of it right now. I've been here for about 2 years. Um, excuse me. Prior to that, I lived in the state of Florida, but prior to that, I lived in the state of California. That's where Alicia and I met. And I'm one of those people who got an English degree from college and um, learned after graduation that, this might not be the most lucrative degree to have, but I'm going to make the most of it however I can. And I worked in marketing and public relations initially. Then I went back to school. I got my master's. That's when I started teaching, and I actually left higher education because I was teaching at community colleges, career colleges. I left that in 2024, and now I actually technically work in the medical field because I work
Oh,
for a
okay.
clinic that helps to address um, issues with children who have dyslexia, dysgraphia, or who might also need help with like attention issues. So combating ADHD or children who have issues with fine motor skills or just like motor skills in general. So the development type stuff, like being able to brush your hair, being able to brush your teeth, that kind of stuff. So now that's what I do. And I have to say, I'm really grateful that at this point in my career, I'm working with little kids. Like it's very refreshing to get to work with little kids at a time like this right now. Like I really love it. Um, and so that is what I do primarily right now. But in addition to my regular job that helps me to pay the bills, because we all got to do that, I am an author. My most recent book, I should have had it here so that I could show it, but I'll leave links and whatnot so that you can leave that in the description. But my most recent book is a children's book titled Selfless, and I actually have a program. Oh my goodness,
I
you've got
came
it.
I came prepared.
Lovely. So lovely. So yeah, there it is right there. And so Selfless is a book that is about um social emotional communication as well as empathy. And I actually have a program that I've developed to go along with that book that I'm going to be implementing out of school next month. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to see their primary classes, so kindergarten, first, and second grade. And I'm really excited about that because this is going to be the first time that that's really happening. And you know how it is when you like create something new. It's like, okay, you got to get the first one out the gate, and then you figure out what the rest of it looks like. So I'm really excited to get to that point because we've been talking about this since April, and now it feels like it's finally here. So I'm really thrilled for that. But outside of those projects and the work that I do, I have been very dedicated to good distractions in 2025. So, when you had reached out to me about coming onto the show, I think you had mentioned that you wanted to talk a little bit about books and the stuff that you've been reading. And I was excited about that because reading more books was one of the sort of resolutions I came into 2025 with. And that's been nice. That's been a nice way to keep from just doom scrolling or looking at way too much news, all of that stuff. It's been really fun to dive into books and get to know my local library and do all that stuff.
It's a real shame because I was never like a big reader in high school or like in my 20s or anything. Um, but it was about a year ago that I like started getting more into reading.
Hmm.
Um, Not only that, but like getting audiobooks and listening to those while I work in the kitchen.
Hmm.
And that helped. I mean, I thought at first I was I'm old school. I want
Physical copy.
a physical copy. Yes.
Yeah.
I like to read at night in bed to help me, like, again, like you said, stay away from the phone. You don't need that blue light while you're trying to sleep. Um, so I was a little anti audiobooks and ebooks, but I was like, I don't think I can absorb anything while I'm working, but I was like, let's just try it. Thank you, Audible, and their free credits that they give you. um, and I actually really enjoyed it. I found that I was like, oh, I actually am absorbing this information while I'm baking or cooking or whatever, or
Hmm.
photographing recipes. Um, and I read some fiction, but I've been getting more into nonfiction and like business stuff. The first one that like set it all off for me was digital communication that I
Hmm.
read last year. That was like important for my job as a when I was doing feedback coaching and stuff like that. But also like everything I do is basically digital communication. So learning how I can cause less stress to people I talk to, but also recognizing like social cues there because this world has changed so much.
Oh, yes. Yes, it has. I mean, just from the time that we met to now,
Oh, I
the
know.
world looks vastly different.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was a great book for me. And then I was reading Great by Choice, which was part of like a book club for the Pretty Focus group I was part of. And
Mhm.
then I did Atomic Habits, and it just started like a lot of not self-help, but like, nonfiction business type
Mhm.
affirmation stuff. Um,
Yeah.
And what I found great about it was affirming to me because I have those beliefs and I'm like, "Okay, I am on the right track," which helps at those times when you're like, "I just feel stuck."
Yes. Which is so easy to fall into as well.
Mhm.
Like, I feel
Yeah.
like that's one of the ways that our world has changed, greatly. But, I love that. I'm gonna actually probably ask you for the titles of those books again because 'cause I'm
Oh,
always looking for recommendations to add to my list. But yeah, isn't it amazing how when you are like in the flow of your work, but you are listening to this audiobook, it's still like the message of that is still able to reach you. You're still able to process it. You know, your brain holds on to it and does something with it later. That's really beautiful. I'm glad that you were able to discover that because yeah, it's very powerful. I was somebody who also was kind of against audiobooks. I was against like the idea of making books into something that was entertaining because I mean, yes, they are supposed to entertain. Like it's nice if they entertain us, but I think people think of reading as this very intellectual activity. And so I know that for me, that was why I was sort of blocking that. But I have also gotten into audiobooks when I drive to work. I have a small
mm.
commute that I take to get to work. It's like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes if it's really heavy traffic. Um, and so I love to listen to audiobooks at that time. I like to listen to audiobooks when I'm cooking as well in my kitchen. I have the house to myself today, so I'll probably put an audiobook over the stereo speakers while I
Oh,
clean and do stuff and just have that on. And yeah,
that
it's
sounds like a
nice.
lovely afternoon.
Yeah, I really cherishing my days off is like one of my really, that's one of the pillars of my self-care right now is making sure that I just really, really enjoy these days off that I have.
It's so hard when you work for yourself or, like, have those even part-time, it's just you wanna work all the time, and even if you're not working, you're thinking like, I know I'll be I'll be sitting there, I'm like, "Alright, I'm gonna watch this show, it's gonna be great," and then I'm on my phone like, "Okay, what can I do with this recipe?" Like
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it's so hard, and I try to do that to be, like, present and be like, "Okay, I'm taking the weekends off." I was kind of able to do that and unplug and, do some crocheting a couple weeks ago, and so now I've got, like, 2 crochet projects because it just ignited that passion again for me.
Nice. Oh my gosh, I've got yarn and a hook and I'm going to watch some YouTube videos later and like relearn how to crochet because I
Yes.
learned how to do this when I was in elementary school, but I've forgotten it. So I'm going to relearn how to do it and make some scarves and some blankets and such cuz yes, I just anything that I can do with my hands, with my eyes, with my brain that is not getting sucked into this like the attention economy and the rage bait and the algorithm, like I feel like we're
Yeah.
really existing at a crappy time for the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this might be a conversation for another day, but I could go on about how I feel like social media has ruined the world.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And yeah, I think that might be a different conversation altogether, but I do want to make one point because there was a book that it was an audiobook that I listened to this year.
Bless
Oh,
you.
oh,
Bless you.
excuse me. Thank you. Uh-oh,
Bless
this
you.
might become a thing.
Oh,
Um,
it's okay.
okay, let me look at so I actually use an app called Libby,
Oh,
which
yeah.
you can use through your public library.
Mhm.
And basically, it's like if they have copies of the book that you're interested in available, then you can borrow it and you can listen to the audiobook that way. Um, so I listened to a book called Stolen Focus by a man named Johann Hari. And this book was really powerful for me because it was one of the first books that I listened to in 2025. And it was in this book that I learned that our brain continues to change and develop even after we've reached like full maturity. So, like for most humans, that's age 25.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, your limbs are done growing, your eyesight is done adjusting, all of that stuff. Well, the brain will actually continue to, carve new pathways and find new avenues and things like that. That's what neuroplasticity is. I thought neuroplasticity was like this thing that like, doctors used in Botox. I don't know. I had no
Oh
idea
yeah.
what it was prior
Yeah.
to listening to this book. I did not know what it was. And so I was like, oh, look at that. That's what neuroplasticity is. And it really had me intrigued because he lists off several studies that showcase why things like the continuous feed, why that taps into the like dopamine centers in our brain and makes us want to continue and want to keep clicking and all of that. It talks about how when you're looking at text on a phone or on a Kindle or an iPad or something like that, it's not your brain is not going to receive the information the same way it would if you were looking at that physical book, because when our brain is processing the text through that blue light, it's doing something else with it versus when it's just plain text sitting on a piece of paper, it's doing something else with it. And so that book really like inspired me to say, okay, so I can actually continue to develop my brain, keep my brain sharp. And I want to do that because it feels like right now, um, especially with the new administration that came in at the start of the year, it really feels like there's just this warfare on our psyches. Like, just tons and tons of news stories,
Mm-hmm.
tons and tons of apps, tons and tons of catastrophes. Like, it's all happening at once. And I feel so inundated. And I've just had to be so careful and so restrictive about the things and the people and the elements that I will allow to influence me right now, because it just feels like it's adding to my stress and my anxiety. And I didn't want that. And so I sort of took cues from that Stolen Focus book to say, okay, I think I want to start trying to undo some of the things that my, decade and a half of social media use has inflicted on me. Actually, more than that, it's probably more like 20 years of social media use.
Oh yeah, almost. Yeah.
Um I got very invested in the idea that like I want to regulate away from technology. I want to get back to more analog activities such as
Mm-hmm.
crocheting or putting a puzzle together or, reading a physical book. Not that there's anything wrong with audiobooks, but just
No.
that feeling of getting into the flow of doing something completely analog. Like that just I've been really invested in that this year.
One thing I've like talked about with James is how different the news was like consumed just what even 20 years ago. But
Mhm.
especially like with our parents and like Gen X and all that, they had newspapers and they had their local
Mhm.
news. They had times where they could shut it off. And we don't have that option anymore. And regardless, it's eh, the way they get clicks is the negative stories. And you open your phone and you're automatically getting push notifications or just scrolling by it, and it gets to be so much. And I know several people who just are like, I can't do the news anymore. And I don't
I'm
blame
one of
them.
those people.
Yeah, I can't. But you also want to find like, okay, I need to stay informed, but mm, it's like, yeah, you just need to step away and not deal with it. But it's just so hard because our phones are such an integral part of our lives now.
Yeah. So that was actually something else that I did at the start of the new year is I put my phone So I have an iPhone,
Mhm,
and iPhone has this thing where when you're driving, when it senses that your phone is connected to Bluetooth that is operated by like a car,
mhm,
then it will do these automatic text messages to people to say like, I'm driving and I'll get
mhm,
back to you as soon as I'm done driving, blah, blah, blah. So around Christmas time, 2024, I was like, I kind of want to do that, but like for my holiday season. Like, I'm celebrating my holiday season. I'll get back to you when I'm done resting, when I'm done this, when I'm done that. I couldn't quite find that option, but I basically have like my phone does not get any notifications now because of the way that I have it set.
mhm.
I can receive phone calls and text messages from my husband because of the way that I have it set. But like people really can't reach me. That sometimes that can cause problems. Like this morning, I had an appointment and I didn't realize it had been canceled until I got all the way there, and I was like, "What the hell?" And then I saw that they had called me, and so it has some drawbacks, yes, but overall, I just felt like I needed to place a barrier between myself and the notifications, the like and I don't wanna move over that quickly, Alicia, like, the madness of notifications, my
Yeah,
friend. Like,
yeah.
I couldn't do it anymore, especially, like I said, and I you notice how I keep dancing around this and not getting specific, but especially with the new administration that came in at the start of this year, um, I just I needed to turn the volume down, and turning the notifications off was one of the best ways that I was able to do that for my mental health. And that way now when people text me, the text messages are there when I go to get them. They don't come and interrupt me while I'm working. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The phone
absolutely.
calls from from the stupid farmers insurance sales guy who doesn't want to get
Ugh.
the picture that I've already purchased a policy, dude. That was 4 months ago. I couldn't possibly still be shopping for a policy now. I needed to put a barrier between myself and all of that nonsense because it's hard enough to look out for yourself right now, but then looking out for young people, like when you're raising kids, this is a really tough environment to raise kids in.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I've got to preserve everything that I have, my energy, my focus, my empathy, my compassion, my all of it. I've got to preserve that as much as possible. And so, yeah, I've had to kind of check out on the news because check out on it from the like turn it on and watch it on my screen type of
Mhm.
consumption, because I just can't do that. Turn it off in that I'm not getting too much news. The notifications really being off really helps with that. So social media and all of its chaos, and I say that uh, maybe I shouldn't bring this up. I say that the week that we got the news that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey are engaged, and I don't know why that was breaking news, but whatever, fine, okay. I
I
mean, I
I
had like three apps all have like banners at the tops of them to talk about this, and I'm just like, okie doke. Uh,
yeah, I don't know either.
yeah,
I'm I you know what? I have no good for them. Yay.
yes, this is not
But
hate for them. It's just why are
no.
you making this breaking news? So, that's kind of where I've been at. And I would say that it's helping for sure, the change in habits, but like getting away from a lot of the behavior that this thing drives has been a large part of my like devotion in 2025.
I love that. I think I mean, but also like all the apps, everything wants to give you a notification for everything. Like I have some games on my phone and they're like, "Don't you want a notification?" I'm like, "No. I will come to
Mm-mm.
you when I have some downtime." And I want to like do whatever, like play with Candy Crush or whatever. Like that's not an important part of my day.
Yeah.
Um I I have a coworker, she does a lot of business coaching, and one of the things she said is every time you get distracted, like from work or whatever, it takes you like 23, I think it's 23 minutes to get
Yes.
back on track. So
Yes.
you talking about shutting all that out, like even if you're just enjoying your peace, watching a movie, I know there's times where I'm like having a good weekend and I will mindlessly check my email and something will ruin my day. It's like, why did I do this to myself?
Yeah, right? I know, I'm just glutton for punishment. Yeah, and I have to recognize too that I'm as a very sensitive and emotional person, I can't be getting dragged in a whole bunch of different
Mhm.
directions at any given time. And some of that is inevitable, right? Like some of that is just a part of life. Like you're going to be disappointed. There's going to be things
Yeah.
that make you upset. But like I don't want to do that unnecessarily. And so, yeah, it's well, and also too, like being with anything that you do, with anything that you do. I mean, you have to focus when you're in the kitchen with, portions and making sure
Mhm.
that you are plating and displaying your food nicely because you photograph it.
Mhm.
You have to focus. Everybody needs a level of focus. And if we because it's like a whole like 40-minute loop if you think about it, like the
Mhm.
distraction itself, and then you run down the rabbit hole, and then your conscience reminds you, oh crap, you're supposed to be doing something else. So you run back out, and then you're still wondering about it. You're still thinking about it, and you're distracted over here trying to do stuff. Like it's really, really bad. I wish
Yeah.
that like more official people recognize that. Like I wish that employers would recognize that a little bit more and start adjusting their environments for employees a bit better. But, that's probably also another separate conversation altogether.
So what you're telling me is you're gonna come back like 5 more times because we have,
Yeah,
like, so
basically,
much
this is going to be a series, everybody. Welcome.
Yes. Let's talk about all this and how we're gonna change the world.
Yeah, because, millennials are going to do it. Millennials are going to change the world for good.
We are. We are. We're all, like, almost all of us are almost in our 40s, so it's our time.
Hmm. It
It's
really
our time
is.
to step up.
Ah, yeah.
I have a couple other of your books here I wanted to talk about because 'cause we're kinda talking about, like, distractions and, a little bit about affirmations and stuff, and I still have this
You've
oldie,
got
Connecting
connecting
the
the dots.
Dots. Yes.
Yes.
I think I got it when it first came out, um, and I haven't finished all of the coloring, but I have so many things, like, written and highlighted in there. The doubt kills more dreams than failure does, and I wrote this with 2 exclamation points right next to it, and then you can see my coloring kind of too.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you brought up connecting the dots actually, because number one, it's a project that I'm super proud of and I don't talk about it enough. But for anybody out there listening who's interested, I collaborated with a guy named Aurelio Sanchez. He did the art for that book.
Mhm.
And we wanted to create something that would be like an anti anxiety tool that you don't need batteries for, you don't need a charger for, you don't need the internet for. Like you could just
Nope.
use it. And so, that's why it's that physical book. Um, I'm really proud of that book. Like that book was my first
You
real
should be.
venture into a book for like adults because everything else I had done up until then had been for children. And so I was really excited to get that project launched and to just put that out into the world and like get that feedback from people who have been using it, people who have benefited from it. So I'm so glad that you still have your copy, you're still using it. That's very exciting. And then the next book that I actually am working on right now is, I mean, I don't want to say that it's like a direct sequel to Connecting the Dots because it's not going to be an affirmation book. It's not going to be a coloring book, but it's definitely more of me trying to like put down the things that I have learned in this journey of becoming a better human being. And so the title for my next book, working title right now, is How Not to Heal.
Ooh,
Hmm.
that's just intriguing. Like, I would pick up a copy of that and, like, well, I mean, if I saw it was you, I would buy it right away. But
Thank you.
it's an intriguing title that makes you want to pick it up or check it out and be like, what do you mean how not to heal?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to contribute to the self help personal development space, but I didn't want to just repeat the same things that other
Yeah.
very qualified, wonderful people have been saying. That's not what I wanted to do. And so I thought, well, geez, I know that I've definitely hit my share of dead ends before on the journey towards becoming healed. So I think that
Yeah.
is going to be the concept for the next book. And I'm really excited about it. Having a new writing project is also a really nice distraction at a time like this. It's also why I have notifications turned off and why I limit, how many things can influence and interrupt me. It's very nice to get to unplug and actually do some writing. And I mean, not all of it is stuff that will end up in the book, but it's stuff that is helping me to process through my life.
Mhm.
And that always just feels so healing and soothing and powerful.
Yeah. One thing, I am a huge advocate for is having and using creative outlets. Like, I've already talked about crocheting and, growing up, I did acting, and I still kinda dabble in acting, and I've told many people before, like, I was gonna do something creative with my life. There was, like, no question about it. But they're so healing too and powerful just to even doing a puzzle, and this is something that's close to my heart because I know over the last few years, there's been talk of defunding the arts. Most recently, PBS and NPR, which are big, they talk about the arts, they influence the arts. Just the thought or the idea of those things going away, especially for kids, is just so sad to me.
I saw a quote on some part of the internet, it might have been Reddit, that said, after you come home from your corporate job, and you're listening to music or binge watching a television show, just remember that it was artists who made that possible for you. It was artists who helped you to find a vehicle for relaxation and that kind of thing. And I thought, wow, that's a really powerful quote because somewhere, I don't know exactly where this started or why, but somewhere people got it in their brains that the arts that is not real work and that is not real labor.
Mhm.
Instead it's more like, the very rigid and structured type of not blue collar, white collar um types of professions. And well, I think that we're seeing people react to that and respond to that by a lot of these movies are bombing at the box office. A lot of these studios are losing money because people are tired of the same regurgitated stories. We want new
Mhm.
stories with new characters and all of that. I think that it is reflective of the fact that we have social media, we have artists, musicians who are also social media influencers with millions of followers who can't even fill a venue with 1,500 seats.
Yeah.
I think that it's coming through in a lot of ways, and especially as AI continues to take over our world. I think that being able to do these human things of like making music from scratch or making art like paintings and stuff from scratch, um being able to dance, knowing how to dance, old forms of dance. I think that knowing how to do these very human creative things is going to be powerful in the future because It's the one piece that the machines are missing. They might be faster than us, they might be more efficient than us, but they are not more soulful than us. And I tell that
Exactly.
to people who are fearful of like AI is going to replace me, that this, that, and the third. And I don't mean to mock those concerns because that's a real concern. But I think as long as you continue to stay connected to what makes you a human, that's what's going to be your saving grace moving forward.
That's a huge concern in the blogging world. But, I've only had my blog for like a year. It's still
Mm-hmm.
new, but it's never really concerned me because and this is what we all have to keep reminding ourselves of is authenticity is what sells.
Yes.
Like, yes, AI can scan your site and take your recipe and create really terrible photos.
Oh my God, they're so
Um,
bad.
they're
Oh,
so
it's
bad.
terrible. They are awful. I'm like, who designed this? This is terrible. It's not even convincing anymore.
No, it's not. And I mean, do I think the photos could get convincing? Yes. But AI cannot have the human experience that we bring. And my goal right now is to create a brand and not
Mm-hmm.
just I'm giving you food. I mean, yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
I make delicious food. Please eat the desserts. But I I agree 100% with you. And one big hopeful thing I have is I think millennials and Gen Z. I think Gen Z is moving towards those old school practices. Like I sold a camera lens last weekend, and when I have a huge photo enlarger for film photography, and I was like, where can I get rid of that? Because it's just sitting in my closet. And they're like, you know what? There's not a huge demand for it, but the demand is going up because Gen Z is getting more into film
Mm,
photography again. And I'm like, I love that. And again, it goes
yeah.
back to like what you're saying, that hands-on, developing your own film, making your own prints. So that's the hope that I hold on to is for Gen Z. So any Gen Zers out there, please don't let us down.
Yeah, no, we're really counting on y'all.
Yeah.
Remember what it was like before the world became completely digitized and try to hold on to that for sure. Um, I know that I personally am trying to get a vinyl player because I've heard
Ooh.
that the music sounds really, really good on vinyl.
Mhm.
And I've got a few albums I'd love to hear on vinyl. So I'm trying to do that and get a vinyl player. Supposedly, because I asked this on my Facebook page a couple of months ago. I said, how do you gift people music these days? Because when we were in high school, if it
Yeah.
was your birthday, you gave people a list of the CDs that you wanted, and you usually got like at least half of them. It was nice. And so I asked just, how do we gift people music? Because like making a playlist on Spotify, I mean, I guess that's one way you can do it, but that doesn't seem nearly as personable and as charitable as a gift, like here's a thing that I'm giving you that I want you to have or whatnot. And so one of my friends from college was like, yeah, vinyls. People give people vinyls, and actually, you can like give them the vinyl and then sit down and listen to it together. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a beautiful analog activity to engage in and like really enjoy some music again. So, and I've heard that it's Gen Z that's making the vinyls popular. So, if they can do that, then hopefully they can finish the job.
I'm going to mention this last book real quick for you. I think it was one of your first books, but I just got it and I just read it
Okay.
and I loved it. But it's a book for
A
Black
book for Black
girls.
girls. Yeah, that's the one that kind of put me on the map. That so it wasn't the first children's book I did because the first one I did
Okay.
was for my kids, and that one's not available for purchase. But
Oh,
that one though, after getting the experience of making the book for my own kids, then I decided to make that one because I was like, oh, I have this message that I want to put out to all children but
Mhm.
definitely to little Black girls.
Mhm.
And so it was just very, very important to me. And I remember I worked really hard at it because it was my first time like going through the real indie publishing process of like securing my ISBN and getting my barcode and all of that stuff, all of that layout stuff that I'm really not that good at, but I was winging it because I wanted to get my book out there. And that was a really I'm glad that I had that experience because I went through all this work of getting a book for Black girls ready in 2019. And I put it out and I didn't really know what else to do with it. I had like a Black History Month speaking engagement the following year in 2020, um not knowing what was about to hit us, literally a month
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
So I had that, and then George Floyd was murdered in
Oh,
May, and then that book just took off after that. Like I felt like that book was just it went around the world at least 3 times. Like I had so many
wow.
people purchasing it, so many people asking about it, and um gaining interest in it and gaining interest in me and like what my story was and stuff. And so yeah, I love that book so much, and thank you so much for purchasing.
Oh, of course. But I mean, like, all of your books, what I love about them, even the kids' books, they have such powerful messages that speak to adults too. And all of us adults need those reminders every now and then, like in Selfless and Connecting the Dots, and even a book for Black girls. Like, I love them all. And I love your
Thank you.
messaging. Oh, they're just so good. You're such a great writer, and you have such great um and powerful messages to share with the world.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
um there's this quote, I can't think of who it's by. It might be by I can't think of who it's by. It's somebody obvious. Forgive
Okay.
me, those of you who are
It's
listening. I
okay.
can't think of who this was by, but it's basically, if you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else.
Mm.
And I've just always felt the need to pay that forward in my life. I chose the profession of teaching because I thought that I could make a difference for what I saw as a literacy problem. We still have a literacy problem in this country. Um, but it was so advanced and so much bigger than me that by the time I got to education, I was making a small difference, but not enough to really change things. And so once I had done my first book, like I said, that was the one that I did for my kids. And it was sort of my rough draft, if you can believe that, because it's like, let me figure out how to do images, let me figure out how to do layout and all that stuff. And the book came together really nicely, but it was my first one out the gate. And so once I got that experience, I was like, okay, let me make sure that I empower the people who need it the most. And the first group, if you will, that I selected for that was the little child that I knew that I still was carrying around inside of me, the one who could have used those messages when she was growing up. Because um contrary to what things are like today, which I love for today's youth, I love that today's kids have way more freedom to come out, have way more freedom to be neurodivergent, have way more freedom to be just atypical. I've got kids on my caseload who one guy, half his hair is purple, the other half is jet black. He's just, and that's him. He's highly intelligent, but that's how he likes to style his hair. I love all of it. In the 90s, we weren't quite as accepting of all of those things. I mean, it was definitely more accepting than the 60s and the 70s, but not quite as accepting as it is in the 2020s, for sure. Um, and so I wanted to make sure that I delivered a message that let other kids growing up like me know that it's okay to be exactly as you are, even if that's different from how other people say that you should be. Being yourself is how you should be. Um, putting that message out to young people and giving that tool to other adults that they could then hand over to young people when they needed it. You know, young girls who feel like they don't like their hair, they don't like their skin because, nobody plays with my hair in class the same way they do with my other friends and whatnot. And recognizing that, yeah, you might feel excluded here, but there are other ways that you are very much included and you have a lot of the advantages that other people don't. And so focus on that and embracing that and don't worry so much about things that you might perceive that you lack. I believe that books are one of the few mediums that number one are exceptionally powerful because books live a long time. I know that we look at TV and video and radio and stuff and we think, oh, this stuff is timeless. But believe it or not, a lot of this stuff is getting lost. A lot of the cartoons that they showed on Saturday
Mhm.
mornings that we used to watch in the 80s and 90s, footage of that stuff is lost. Like they don't have it anymore. And so, but with books, they have a little bit more staying power than that. And um I just believe that any opportunity that I have to put something into print, I want to make sure that it's going to be transformative and powerful and positive. More than anything, it's going to be positive.
I mean, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with authenticity. Your
Yes.
authenticity is just dripping off of your books. And I can tell like these topics you talk about are mean so much to you and that you have experience and you have power and knowledge with them. And that's what's so engaging about your work.
Well, I'm glad that comes through.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So I have 3 questions that I like to ask my guests because so we're
It's
going to bring it
time.
all back to desserts and a desert island to tie it all together. So the first question, if you were headed to a deserted desert island,
Hmm.
what is the one dessert that you would want to have with you that you could have like repeatedly and you wouldn't get
Yeah.
tired of? Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of a tough question for me because I'm not a huge dessert person, but I
Okay.
will say that my favorite desserts always combine cake and ice cream in some way.
Ooh,
So I would
okay.
probably want some sort of like, I mean, I love chocolate. I could eat chocolate all day long. So, I mean, if you wanted to give me a brownie with strawberry ice cream on top of it, I could probably eat that
Oh.
forever and ever. But I could also eat an ice cream cake too. Like I could eat chocolate ice cream cake, strawberry ice cream cake. I'm not really so much a vanilla girl, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's got to have ice cream and cake and cake.
Sounds amazing. I'm all for that. Like a good brownie sundae or something like that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I like
Just
the idea of strawberry ice cream on chocolate.
mhm.
That sounds
Yeah, I love
amazing.
strawberries and chocolate. It's one of my favorite combos.
Since the second question is if you could bring one constant ingredient to have with you. So assuming you have like an array of ingredients, but they're always changing, what is one constant ingredient you would want to cook like consistently with?
Is this for dessert or for any meal?
Any meal.
Garlic.
Oh, that's a good one. And you can use it for like any cuisine.
Any cuisine.
Hmm.
And no vampire's gonna get me if I've got
There,
garlic.
there you go.
Always looking out.
Yeah, right. People talk about the zombie apocalypse. They don't really talk about the vampire
Y'all need to
apocalypse
be
that's
looking out for
coming.
the vampires.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we'll all head to your island because you will be stocked with garlic.
Yeah, tons of it. I'll have the garlic and the steaks for all of you.
Right?
So, yes.
Perfect. I'm there. I'm there. All right, and the last question. We've kind of talked about this kind of hinted at it. What is one book, movie, album, source of entertainment that you would want to have with you that you wouldn't get tired of?
Okay, so I'm gonna say Well, can I say the Libby app on my phone? Or is that two things? Because I'm bringing the phone and the app.
I don't know if that's cheating or not, but it is
Okay,
a hypothetical. It is a hypothetical situation. So how strict do I want to be?
Well, because I was going to say if I could bring the audiobooks with me, then that means I could just listen at any time. I don't have to like wait for sunlight to
Yeah.
be able to read or whatnot. But it would definitely be books of some form. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, that's definitely a loophole I didn't think about.
I broke the question.
No. I'm gonna have to like set rules for this from now on.
Oh gosh, look at that. After the Antoinette episode, imagine that.
They're gonna get detailed questionnaires. All of my
Yes.
guests from now on be like, you can't
They're
do
gonna
the
get
Libby app.
screenings.
Oh man. But now I need to ask, like, what are you more afraid of? Zombies or vampires taking over the world?
Vampires. I am more afraid of
Yeah.
vampires because honestly, I think they're already here. I think that,
Yeah.
some of these people who've been walking around for decades and decades and decades and still look the same, like they're already here.
I know. James is like, he'll see younger pictures of me and he's like, you have not aged. Like,
You really haven't. I mean, other than your hair changing,
I
you
know.
really haven't. You look exactly like you did when I met you. It's amazing.
There's a picture of me, a painting of me somewhere in a basement that is just getting older and older. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for inviting me. This was so much fun.
I know, I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Same.